Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week we're going to go off in an offbeat direction with our anime review. And this is going to be one of those ones from way back when I would sit in front of a TV, Adult Swim would be on, and I would just record stuff on VHS, because that's what we had back then. And I still remember, and I've probably said this before, I had like 50 some videos worth of like 6 hours of different animes from Bebop to God knows what else. Just, Trigun, Razafun, it would be on G4, it would be on Adult Swim, it would be, Loop on the Third, stuff, just rattling stuff off. And I remember this one being in that pile alongside stuff like Fooly Cooly, where I couldn't really get a handle on it because they were just different. And even now, it still has its own place. And today's episode is Paranoia Agent. And I'm reflecting back on it. This isn't completely like those shows like Boogie Pop Phantom and Ergo Proxy and Serial Experiments Lane, but it certainly fits that same mold of trying to be unnerving, trying to not quite add up. I think it's more effective than those because it tries to stay more in the thriller detective agency thing rather than just being weird for the sake of being weird. But it still does have some social commentary hidden within its message, and that's part of the point. As far as Paranoia Agent himself, it was developed by Satoshi Kon, who did Tokyo Godfathers. He did Paprika. I remember seeing Paprika. I wouldn't be able to remember the details of Paprika right offhand, but I know I saw it, especially in like an anime club once. It was a movie. Tokyo Godfathers was a movie. This was a 12-episode condensed series. And this was picked up by Adult Swim, and this was run for ages. The thing I remember most about Paranoia Agent, and probably the first thing anybody remembers about it, is the opening theme. Just this crazy guy yelling all over the place, and the people have their arms spread out, and they're laughing at the screen, and just this imagery of stuff blowing up or being destroyed behind them is a visual. I remember reading up that Cone made that as a conscious choice, or someone on his development team made it a conscious choice because they put this on at like 12 o'clock at night. This would wake them up, wake the viewers up so that they would instantly recognize it, instantly get jazzed up for the show, and then put an ending theme, which was very soft and goofy, like a children's show kind of thing, where these people just lying around in a circle / question mark, with this soft music to lull them back to sleep. And then Maromi would be sitting there in the center and then just waving you goodbye. So Paranoia Agent, if nothing else, is memorable because of those things. The story itself is strange. There is a lot of stuff going on, and I don't want to give away the ending because it is sort of a detective thriller type thing. And I wouldn't even be able to explain it offhand, even though I've seen it, multiple times. It's one of those kinds of shows. But the general gist, to start off, is that a character designer, Tsukiko Sagi, voiced by Michelle Ruff, is being pressured into coming up with a new doll, new kid's toy, whatever. Because she hit big with what was known as Maromi. And beknownst to us, but to nobody else, I guess, is that she's suffering from mental stress. So much so that Maromi has a voice and talks to her, like an imaginary friend would. And Maromi's voiced by Carrie Savage, the instantly identifiable, awesome, like high, just super freaking high-pitched voice. If you ever saw stuff like Iki Tosen and whatever, she was the main character in that. But once you hear her voice, you know what voice it was. But Tsukiko's trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. She ends up getting attacked by what is known as Lil Slugger. And it's this guy on golden roller skates, just this 12-year-old kid or whatever, beat her up with a baseball bat. So it draws the ire of a couple of detectives Ikari and Maniwa. Ikari and Maniwa, excuse me. So they're voiced by Michael McConaughey and Liam O'Brien. And, they're your typical I don't take no shits cop versus the I'm sort of a suave, jackass type. And they get kind of caught up in several other incidents and several other episodes. The first few episodes are just this kid gets in trouble, this woman gets in trouble, and then they find him, and then they don't really find him, I guess. It goes off on some weird tangents. So those first few episodes. But it is effective because it has this weird social commentary about, living your life on the internet and, what is real, what is fantasy, like letting stress kill you to the point where you're looking for a way out. The idea with Paranoia Agent is that you're so driven into a corner, so driven into stress, so distressed. And distress is the word I would use, that you're looking for a way out, and it becomes sort of a popular urban legend that Little Slugger or Golden Bat comes in and basically whacks you over the head, and you stop thinking, whether you get a concussion or you fall into a coma or whatever like this. He helps you overcome stress from one way or another. And I think the stories themselves in the beginning episodes are the strongest part of the show. They do tend to come together in a weird way near the end, but I think near the middle, after about 5 or 6 episodes or so, when it stops being about specific characters and starts being more about the mystery, it does the mystery thing where it starts to just be like, okay, I'm following it, but not really. It does go off in some weird ways, and I don't know if it completely coalesces, but I believe that's the blessing and the curse for shows like this, where because you don't know what's going on, and they're not really going to tell you until, say, episode 11 or 12, you start off on a high, and then you got kind of a lurch for a while, because they're not going to give you everything. Your interpretation is you're trying to figure out what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. So that's the guesswork involved. Again, I don't think the show struggles like, say, Boogie Pop Phantom does. It's way better acted. It's not weird for the sake of weird. It does have a message, and I think it's a lot more chaotic. Some of these shows tend to just be slow burn and focus on imagery and weird things going on, and then you're like subtlety. And this is trying to be in your face, not to the point where it's frustrating, but I find that most anime that do this sort of thing try to be subtle with their commentary and subtle with what they're trying to do, and unnerving. This kind of shows that you can be unnerving and, have a chaotic edge to it and still be kind of frantic, because you need to have that perfect balance where you're not messing with the viewers so much that they forget what the fuck's going on, but you also need to give them little breadcrumbs so they still feel like they're engaged with the story. And I do feel that, 12 episodes was accurate. I think they could have gone with 6, but they had, 5 or 6 stories they wanted to tell with Little Slugger beating the shit out of people. So I could see why they went with 12, just to double it back around. You have your main characters, and that's the benefit. The detectives are main characters. Tsukiko's a main character. Everybody else is kind of an ancillary, this is what's going on. So it never feels like it's going too fast, but it never feels like it's going too damn slow. I'm grateful it was only 12 episodes, because if it was, say, a movie, I think a movie would have been accurate. If it was a 24-episode series, this would have been a mess, I think. You would have a lot more things you could say and do, but when it's a mystery like this, and you're trying to unnerve people, the longer you linger on a thing, the worse it becomes. So I do appreciate it's its own 12-episode thing. If you want to watch it now, it still holds up 20 years later, because if you're looking for that weirdness, if you're looking for good, well-acted weirdness, but it's still exciting enough that you don't feel frustrated by it all. I think Paranoia Agent suffices. And again, look up the opening and the ending themes. If the opening theme doesn't interest you at all, that's a shock, because that's the thing that I remember wholly most about this show is that opening. And there was a guy, I forget who it was, he did a pitch perfect cover of it, and it was great. But yeah, just look up the opening of that and then see if this show would be something you'd be interested in after an episode or two, and I think you'd enjoy it. But this was another short one for me. Next week will be Sonic the Hedgehog, 1991. And as I've stated, the way I intend to review Sonic is to go stage by stage, not act by act, that would take too long, but stage by stage. There are 6 stages, so I will talk about Sonic as a whole, but then dive into each stage and kind of rank them based on how they felt, what they were trying to do, like the bosses or just the gimmicks involved with the stages, and then kind of double back as a review. After that, the week after will be Love After World Domination. Again, this is a more recent show in this most recent season that I felt was better than it had any right to be, and I'm grateful I watched it. And then after that, we'll do Soul Blazer, the first of the Soul Blazer trilogy. And I actually have episodes lined up for the end of up till Halloween. So I did want to get some Halloween-based stuff going in October. So we'll have a few more episodes going. The standouts, I think, are going to be Kingdom Hearts in October. I will say I will try to keep my anger about Kingdom Hearts associated to the story of other games. Kingdom Hearts 1 will only be about Kingdom Hearts itself, and that's a good thing. Another standout will probably be the Halloween episodes themselves, and that will be Silent Hill 2, the Ghost Stories English dub, which is notorious for just being a freaking laugh riot comedy, and then Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate. Now, I have a lot to say about Hellsing, good and bad, but I'm going to be busy, but at least it's nice to have a roadmap for the next couple of months, so I'm set until the end of October. But that will do it for me today, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.